Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast, where we're just surviving and advancing. It's me, your man MG, Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. And happy Victory Tuesday? Is that a thing? It is now.
For all of us, Kyrie's team won, all three of our teams won, Hytham's team won, everyone but Quab.
Sorry, Quab.
Damn,
you know what?
we almost cleared it.
Quab, I love you, man, and we appreciate you coming on board this year and everything you've done for us, but get the Steelers out of my life. I've had enough of the 2025, 2026 Steelers. Let's just get them out of our lives. We'll talk about that and plenty more because we'll recap the wild card round, and 4 of these 6 games really, truly were wild, and then one was boring and one just sucked. But we'll talk about them all as we go through the show today. Can we tease what's happening on Thursday? I won't be here on Thursday. I'm going to be in parts unknown.
Sure. He confirmed that he's down. I've reached out to the Bobs and waiting to hear back, but the guest is down, so I think we can confirm, right?
So on Thursday's show, it will be a return visit from one Scott Porter, he of Friday Night Lights fame, Jason Street. So he'll be back. He came on before the season. We had a great conversation with him then. He's coming back because this weekend we've got Bills at Broncos in the divisional round. Obviously, we know Michael F. Florio, a big Bills fan. Scott Porter, a big Broncos fan. So, like I said, I will be in parts unknown. I'll be in a cone of silence while you guys are recording. But I'm going to have to dip in and listen to hear if there's any sort of trash talk between the two of you guys. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's not.
I just saw that the Bobs hit me back up, so I was like, let me respond to this in a timely manner. But yeah,
live action.
I am very excited. I hit him up and I was like, look, it's Broncos Bills week. Because he had been wanting to come back. Like, he was like, some of my fantasy calls hit. So I figured with it being the only week that we're going to get this matchup, right? Like, bring him on. He could talk a little bit. I could talk a little bit, and then we'll both sweat it out Saturday.
Sounds good. That sounds like a lot of fun. So be sure to check out Thursday's show to hear Scott Porter and his thoughts on Bills Broncos, and let him take a couple of victory laps on the things he got right. If you listen to the preseason show with Scott, he is deep in these fantasy streets. He is a fantasy nerd like nobody else. So it'll be fun to get him back on the show. In the meantime, let's get to some news headlines. Couple of things that jumped out after the weekend, maybe the biggest one being George Kittle suffering a torn Achilles as the 49ers surprised the Eagles in Philadelphia and got a win there. So obviously we know Kittle out, obviously for the rest of this postseason and probably a good chunk of next season as well. I don't know if there's officially a timeline on his return yet. Have they even announced a successful surgery? Has that happened yet? Because that's always...
We know it's going to be successful.
It's going to be successful, right?
We hope 100%.
Still waiting for a team to be like, nope, they screwed it up.
We got to do it again.
He's never going to dance again.
Hey, we make jokes, but then Joe Mixon happens.
That's true. You know what? That's fair.
Maybe that wasn't successful.
So anyway, George Kittle obviously out for the rest of the postseason. I think for our purposes, it's worth spinning it toward next season. We were in our text chat sort of talking about our top 5 tight ends for 2026. This was before the Kittle injury, where he's obviously locked in as a top 5 tight end when he's healthy and available. Now that he's not, I want to hear, and Florio, you can start, LaQuan, you can follow, but I want to hear now, as of this moment, who are your top 5 tight ends for 2026?
Trey McBride is the unquestioned number 1 tight end. I think Brock Bowers is the clear-cut number 2. After that, good luck, right? Because it was supposed to be Kittle at 3, but we might not see him next year because Achilles, especially a January Achilles, who knows, right? Tucker Kraft is another one that I would strongly consider, but we don't know what his health is. I think tentatively I would put him at 3, but that's one that could change a whole lot based off of summer reports and stuff and when he's going to be back and all that. And then I think it's Warren and Colson Loveland rounding it out. And the other names I considered in there were like Pitts, Kincaid, and Harold Fannin Jr. So to me, there's the top two that are clear above everyone else. And then there's like an upside tier, but no one that brings the security that you might want that early.
All right, LQ, who's your top five?
I like that. I mean, we can obviously agree on the first two. It's Trey McBride, Brock Bowers. That's tier one. Like, I think we all just understand they're probably going in the first 3 rounds. Like, that is acceptable. But like you guys said, it gets really weird after that. Like, 3, we could put Pitts. I mean, is he staying in Atlanta? Does he get the bag? I think he's happy there. But I don't even know if that's a for sure thing that he finishes how he finished last season.
Yeah,
leaves where? Go where?
I think he will. City.
New England.
Kansas City.
The Falcons don't have a lot of money. It's a new regime.
I feel like if he leaves, I don't think we put him in that top 5 conversation. I think we have to reevaluate depending on landing spot. But at 3, like you mentioned, Tucker Kraft, I actually have him written here at 3. But then 4 and 5, like 4, I want to sneak in a Colston Loveland. I want to sneak in a Dalton Kincaid. I really feel like with Kittle coming out, it brings more room. And even at that 5th spot, I haven't made the blonde bet yet, but it could be another rookie tight end because these guys have been hitting the ground running or they end up developing, flourishing in the middle of the back end of the season. So this top 5 was actually like really just kind of like difficult after that 2nd spot. So it's like, there's a lot of names that you can make campaigns and cases for.
So what I've got right now, obviously, like you guys, McBride, Bowers are 1 and 2. Like Florio said, it gets murky after that. You could probably throw a bunch of names in a hat and any order sort of makes sense. I still believe in Tyler Warren. He kind of hit that rookie wall a little bit last year. Also, for whatever reason, he and Phillip Rivers just couldn't seem to get on the same page. But we know Phil's not going to be back next year. I don't know if it's Riley Leonard. I don't know if they re-signed Daniel Jones. Look, they may re-sign Daniel Jones, right? Folks in Indianapolis are saying they think he's the future. So Daniel Jones could be back. If Daniel Jones is back, Tyler Warren is solid again. So I got him at 3. I got Loveland at 4. I've got Pitts at 5. But as you can hear in my voice, I'm not locked in on any of those guys.
Even after the season he just had, like the same way you're feeling Marcus is the same way I feel putting him in there. Like I want to put him at 3, but I don't know if he stays or goes or even has that type of season again. Like it just feels nasty.
I think he's gone. I don't think he stays in Atlanta.
He also benefited from London being out, and he was much better with Kirk Cousins than Michael Penix.
I mean, like the thing I don't like about, I've heard people say New England, but Hunter Henry is still under contract for, I think, at least another year, maybe 2.
Austin Hooper is the free agent. I already got David Njoku going there. That's why I don't think that Kyle Pitts goes to New England.
How old is Austin Hooper? Because I feel like he played at Stanford with John Elway.
Hoopin's been hooping since John Elway.
I feel like he played with John Elway at Stanford. Like, how long has he been around? Right?
Yo,
31.
31, sure. All right, I'll take your word for it. I'm not worried about Austin Hooper, but I do worry. Like, I feel like Kyle Pitts going to New England with Hunter Henry still there would be sort of like when Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry signed in New England at the same time. I was like, I like both of those guys individually. I hated both of them together. Like, I don't want that. But I do really feel like if Travis Kelce leaves, if Patrick Mahomes is intent on being back by week 1, or even, let's say he's on the PUP list, right? He comes back in like week 5 or something like that. Kyle Pitts in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and let's be real here, the possibility that Rashee Rice could be suspended at the start of the year. Why can't Kyle Pitts eat potentially in the Chiefs offense?
I got another landing spot.
Okay.
The Commanders. He can be a nice middle of the field target for a Jaden Daniels coming back from injury. I think putting him in New England would be the worst thing possible for him. Because honestly, like if we think about it, like I said, David Njoku to New England just feels the second piece to that tight end room. But Kyle Pitts, he can flourish. We've seen him have this amazing season that he's had with opportunities with Drake London now. And like we said, the Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins thing, volume, production. Like that's basically what it was. Like I think he can stand alone as a tight end one and not have somebody over his shoulder taking away the red zone opportunities like a Hunter Henry and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. I mean, obviously we know Zach Ertz, right? I mean, he had, unfortunately, that injury late in the season. That is probably the last we're going to see of him in the NFL. It's a tough way to go out. But yeah.
One name we didn't mention, and I actually think I could see this guy being top 5 come August, is Sam Laporta. Like,
you know what? You're right.
You're right. They have a new play caller there. Like, I think he's going to get hyped up again.
A name that we didn't really talk about, I think one of you just threw it in there and mentioned it, is Harold Fannin. And a lot of chatter, in the fantasy streets about Harold Fannin, understandably, right? The way he finished the season, obviously he finished week 17 as a top 5 tight end. Thusly, LaQuan's going to have to dye his hair at some point.
The appointment is made.
All right, it's cool. But LQ, because you were obviously the biggest Harold Fannin stan among us here.
Yeah.
Is he a trap in 2026? Because he feels like a huge trap to me.
Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be so many different moving parts. I mean, Shedeur the starter? Who's the head coach? What's the play calling going to look like? The additions to the offense. Like, I look at Harold Fannin, like, it was great to have him this season, but next season you need to be a little bit more cautious. Like, we always tend to push these tight ends up and not really look at this situation. Situational targets, something that I labeled Lab McConkey last year. I'm putting that on Harold Fannin because a lot of the opportunities that were coming to him, being that they were playing different quarterbacks, every 6 weeks, I feel like there wasn't much pass catchers that were stepping up. Jerry Jeudy stepped up occasionally and then dropped the ball, as we saw with Shedeur Sanders. Like, it was just an up and down roller coaster, and he just happened to be the most reliable and the most available pass catcher on that offense. And now looking into 2026, I think the fantasy streets are going to push his ADP up to new heights that I feel it's going to be disgusting to even look at.
That's the thing.
I'm going to make the case for him.
Okay.
The Browns have no money this offseason. Like, they have the 6th lowest cap. They're currently $27 million over. This room might not look a whole lot different, right? It might be because he got a lot better too once David Njoku was gone. Early in the year, he was outperforming Njoku, but they were splitting production and targets. So if Njoku goes and he is the number 1 there, it is going to come down to who the quarterback is and who the play caller is. But I could see a world where Fannin is a top 2 target next year once again for the Browns because they just they have a lot of holes and not a lot of assets to fill them this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, I think when we get closer to the start of the season, even mid off season, maybe we can have a better idea because there are a lot of moving parts, right? Because I think part of the reason Harold Fannin was who he was because that was the level of offense they trusted Shedeur Sanders with. It was getting the ball to the tight end. It was dump offs. It was screens. And every once in a while, he would take that shot downfield, right? Where you could see him, he might try a Jeudy downfield or somebody like that. But for the most part, they kept this thing pretty basic for him. Now with Kevin Stefanski gone, what does the offense look like? Do they still believe in Shedeur? Does the new head coach even believe in Shedeur, a guy that obviously they didn't draft, and that, it seems like nobody in the organization wants to really take credit for drafting? It's all weird. So
it's insane.
All right. Other headline of notes: the Commanders have promoted assistant quarterbacks coach David Blough to offensive coordinator. Wasn't that long ago, David Blough was starting games for Washington,
right?
As a backup. Florio, do you expect major changes in this offense from a guy who, he played, I think, for Cliff Kingsbury? If not, he's been an assistant for Kingsbury for a number of years. It just doesn't feel like much is going to change here, I think.
So one of the things I love about the offseason is getting to dive into like coaching tendencies and play caller tendencies and that stuff. But this is my least favorite kind of hire because it could work out. I'm not saying it can't, but we have zero information to rely on because he's never been a play caller at the NFL level. I don't know if he's been a play caller at any level before. I know he's been the last couple of years, he's been the QB coach, and when he was a player, he was known as like a guy who's going to be a future coach and stuff. And the fact that he got hired so quickly and he's risen through the ranks and everything gives me hope that there's a promise there and that there's so much potential here with Jaden Daniels and the talent. Plus the Commanders have money this offseason, but it's hard to hang your hat on because we have no information. Like, is he going to change things up? Is he going to allow Terry to go on the right side of the field? We don't know. But that's why this is my least favorite kind of coach. Like,
he worked under Cliff, so maybe not.
Yeah, like every year there's one or two signings of a new play caller where it's like we have nothing to base this off of, and this is one of them this year.
Do you think Cliff knew that he could put his X receiver on the other side of the formation?
No.
Like, do you think he just saw it drawn up one time and he's like, okay, well, this is how it has to be? Like he treated it like a set of IKEA directions. Like, it's just like, this is how I have to build the offense. This piece has to go here because otherwise this chair with a whole bunch of consonants and no vowels is not going to sit right. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure that part out.
Like, I think the one thing that is good, though, is that he has, like, a prior relationship with Jaden Daniels. Like, you hear the reports of him playing pig, which is basically a form of horse, after practice with Jaden Daniels. And, like, that familiarity and that relationship, like, things could work out, when you actually know and have the relationship with the people you work with. And looking at, these last 3 seasons he's been with the Commanders, it was a quick hire. Like, this was such a quick turnaround where we still have a Mike McDaniel out there on the streets, where we have, Cliff Kingsbury walking away and them feeling comfortable enough to look in-house and be like, you're the guy. You're going to lead us to the Super Bowl or the playoffs or get this offense back on track. Like, I think the quick turnaround was kind of really telling, like, how much confidence they have in him.
Or this feels like a company that doesn't really want to invest in personnel development and decided to move one guy out and hire the next guy up who seems cheaper and has been standing around there for 20 minutes and maybe
this is a
has
new
an idea how to do
regime,
the
man.
job.
This goes one of two ways. It's going to work out and the Commanders are going to be what I thought they would be this year, like contenders and stuff, or it's not going to work out and Jaden Daniels is going to have a new head coach.
I don't like how people are mentioning the Kevin O'Connells, the Cliff Kingsbury, the Dan Campbell, and Ben Johnson, like, attached to his name. Like, he was in the building with these folks, but he wasn't drawing them up. Like, I need to see pencil to paper, you drawing it up for Jaden Daniels to be, the Jaden Daniels we saw rookie season. Like, I don't have that expectation for him, though.
The other part of it, though, is that, like, he hasn't been an assistant coach that long.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's just barely 30 years old. I mean, good for him on moving up the ranks and finding an OC job at this point in his life and his career. But, I mean, he really hasn't been an assistant for that many years. So there's just a lot of proving to do. All right, so a really wild, mostly fun weekend of football. In the wild card round, 6 games I mentioned at the top of the show. 4 of them were really, really good. One was kind of boring, and the last one, like, I don't know. It just turned into background noise after a while. I was like helping my kid with his reading homework. That's how exciting that game was. So I'll go in order of the order in which they were played, but I want to focus on the losing teams here because this is kind of our last look at them. Obviously, as the season goes on or the offseason goes on, we'll start to dive into, what we expect, what we hope, what we want for them in the offseason. We'll do like our exit interviews and that sort of thing. But just kind of to put a bow on some of the teams whose seasons are now officially over. So start the Rams, 34-31 winners over the Carolina Panthers. News that actually came out this morning, too, before we recorded this show. The Panthers announced they are picking up the 5th-year option on Bryce Young. So we know he's locked in for at least 2 more years. But, LaQuan, after year 3, how are you feeling about Bryce Young?
I feel a lot better than last year. Let's say that. The arrow's pointing up. I like that, he has weapons around him now that are starting to develop and step up, like Jalen Coker, amazing game, man. Like, I honestly look at him as like a breakout star maybe next year. Hopefully they throw the bag at him and secure him. But Bryce, to me, he feels like a QB2, though, because like he's still going to have these up and down roller coasters. Like, I don't know if I'm comfortable saying like, yeah, Bryce Young, QB1, even if they add more additions to that offense and protect him even better than they did, before. But just looking at Bryce Young as a whole, like for a fantasy manager to go out there and take him off the draft board, I still look at him as a QB2. Like he feels a lot more better in a super flex league where you feel like, yeah, I can get him as a QB2, but for redraft leagues, the one quarterback leagues, he just feels like somebody that you put in when you have a bye week with your QB1 that you actually drafted.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I was looking at it, and Florio, he's been, I think the first year he was QB 23. Last year he was QB 20. This year he's QB 19. So like he's getting incrementally better. But for me, at least, it also feels like he's kind of maybe not officially at his ceiling, but he can reach up and touch the ceiling. That's not a short joke. He can, like, from where he is, he can reach up and touch the ceiling from where he is.
Just his middle finger.
I have zero even thought about making him a QB1. Like, I don't even think he's like a high-end QB2. I think he's a low-end kind of... There's some weeks where you're like, oh, okay. But like, I'm looking at his game logs right now. Against the Rams and the final week against Tampa are the only game... And then he had a 448-yard game against Atlanta. Those are the only 3 games all year he topped 210 passing yards. Like... That, and he's not running like we thought he would. And then you go through his game logs too. Like the floor is 0 touchdowns. Most weeks it's 1 to 2, and then there's like an occasional 3 here. So like,
and some of those games he won where he did not score a touchdown, which is insane. Like, what are you doing?
I root for Bryce Young, but I'm not interested in him for and in fact, later in the year in my home league, I had to use Bryce Young as a Patrick Mahomes replacement in a 2 quarterback league. And it wasn't fun. Like, even against the Bucs, where I was like, this is a great matchup. He gave me like 17. And then against Seattle, he had like 7. And that's the issue with Bryce, is I don't think the ceiling is high enough for the very like, he's kind of like Caleb, just with a lower ceiling, right? Like, we say Caleb's floor is weak losing, but there's upside there. Bryce Young doesn't have that upside. Like, he every once in a while, he'll have a big game, but not in the sense that you can rely on it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for the Panthers, just as a real football organization, like, I understand why they picked up the 5th-year option, right? Like, you've seen him develop, you've seen him constantly improve. And honestly, kudos to Bryce Young for kind of overcoming that rough year, right? Where he was benched, they brought him back, like all the stuff that he's gone through in his career. And he has, I think, done as well as you could expect him to with everything around him. But if you're the Panthers, you're kind of in a spot where, like, Bryce Young's not the guy that's going to get you to where you need to go or where you want to go, right? He can maybe get you to the playoffs like he did this year. Maybe they win double-digit games next year. Like, that's not a ridiculous statement that they can win 10 games.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. But also, you're not ready and you're not in a position to go in free agency and get a guy or go in the draft and get a guy. So you're kind of just stuck with this quarterback who's good enough, but not necessarily great. That's what
he
it
might be
is.
the best of his class. I put this out on Twitter yesterday. Who's the better quarterback right now? Bryce Young or CJ Stroud? And Young won 53 to 47.
The timing.
Also, right. Also, like,
but CJ Stroud has been this all year long. Like, there's no highs with him. He's just kind of steadily mid. Whereas Bryce Young, the floor might be lower, but the ceiling is higher, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, also CJ Stroud was sweating Crisco last night. Like, why couldn't he hold on to the football? Like, what was going on with that?
If he didn't have an all-world defense, I think we're looking at CJ Stroud in a different light.
Give Bryce that defense. I might think we see a better offense going on, but I still blame the offensive coordinator, Nick Haley, though. I mean, again, he is from the Sean McVay tree, but he's from the other side. He's from the other side of that family reunion that we don't, go over and say hi to.
What part of the Sean McVay tree do you acknowledge then? Because you weren't so sure about Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor's the one uncle that he's cool.
Like Nick Haley.
I mean, KOC is like
Raheem
one of the
Morris.
goats. Raheem Morris is good in my book. Big jersey. I mean, I think KOC will probably be the best.
Is he good outside of being from Jersey? If he were from Missouri, would you be okay with him?
Not this past season.
All right,
he's a true hero. He's a true hero.
All right, here we go. Florio, how early you comfortable drafting Tedero McMillan next year?
Probably around where he was this past year, right? Like, I know he is one of those players, though, that if you look at like the end of season stats, like where he finished, it's better than it was if you had him on your roster. Like he was the wide receiver 16 in total points this year. He was not the 16th best wide receiver in fantasy. And,
No.
and if you had him, you understand this. Like look at his game logs, right? Like for much of the year, it was all floor. And then there's one big 33-point game in there that is the only game all year. Oh, okay, he had one other game where he topped 100 yards. So like, and it's not all his fault, I think. I think there's a lot of deficiencies in this offense. I think Bryce Young's inconsistencies can hold him back and stuff. But none of that is going to change. Maybe it changes next year, but we're not going to see it change by the time we have to draft him. And for that reason, I think where he was going around last year, like in the low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 range, is probably where I would be cool taking him. Admitting that there's more upside there, but it's no guarantee that we see that.
There's no guarantee that we see it. Part of it, like early in the season, he just wasn't scoring touchdowns. And in the back half of the year, he started scoring a few more touchdowns. That definitely helped him. But, and LaQuan, you mentioned Jalen Coker. The Jalen Coker development and ascension could eat into McMillan's production. Because I'm not convinced that Bryce Young can support, I don't know that he can support 2 wide receiver 2s in fantasy. I think he can give you a wide receiver 2 and maybe a wide receiver 3. Maybe. So if Jalen Coker actually starts to produce a little bit more, or if Xavier Legette kind of figures it out and starts to produce a little bit more, that is necessarily going to eat into McMillan's production. So I think I'm with you. I think I want his ADP to stay kind of right where it was. And I think, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 to 7 touchdowns. I feel like that is a reasonable expectation for him again next year. It's not bad, but it's wide receiver 2.
I feel like Jalen Coker, though, like he adds to the roller coaster, like how you're saying. I don't think Bryce Young can support both of them in one game. Like, I really feel like, when you go back to the Rams game, the regular season game, not the playoff one, where Jalen Coker just was lighting up our secondary, and then you get that one blown play by Emmanuel Forbes, 10 scores. So it's like one of those things where that was kind of like a blown coverage, a lucky play, but that entire game, Bryce was only able to get the ball to Coker. So I think when you look at Jalen Coker next season, like he shouldn't be rising up in ADPs. He should be one of those wide receiver 4s or 5s that you grab to take a flyer on. Like he's a flex guy, but Tetairoa McMillan, I think he's a solid wide receiver 2, but you're very lucky or happy that you get him as a wide receiver 3 to where his ADP was in the summer where we had these question marks around Bryce. We should be attacking the draft the same way with Tetairoa McMillan, that he's going to be strapped and married to Bryce Young's up and down roller coasters. It's not really him. It's not the talent. It's not anything like that. It's just the inconsistent play on the week-to-week basis from the quarterback, which a lot of people overlook. And like they'll look at this as like, oh, a year 2 jump, et cetera, et cetera. All the analytical folks will find one metric that would be like, oh, well, a rookie hasn't done this since 1895. Like, okay, cool, great. But let's look at the situation and look at the quarterback that they've been inconsistent all season long.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. So speaking of inconsistencies, which running back in Carolina do either of you prefer for next year?
Well, Rico's a free agent, and Rico is, I don't know if you guys have seen this. He is on Twitter, and like, he basically said he's not coming back. Like, yeah.
He is pissed.
But
I would be too. I would be too, though.
Why?
Look, it's Rico, like, if we're going to call a spade, that 200-yard games was the biggest anomaly of the 2025 NFL season. Then Rico became Rico again after that. Like, he's a solid running back, but that's what he is, right? Like, we have a large enough sample size now, I think, of that. I think Chuba could still be something, depending on what they do with the RB2 there and stuff. But it feels like it's going to be Chuba's backfield once again.
Yeah, I mean, Chuba's
I feel
fine.
like it's nasty either way, though. Because, like...
Yeah, I'm not excited.
Are we
for
drafting
Chuba.
a Panthers backfield next year? Like... I mean,
not
RB3,
not early.
RB4,
not early.
Yeah.
It's a depth piece.
yeah,
like Chuba, whoever else may be back there. Like, if I'm looking for a third running back,
he'll
maybe
go in that
occasional
like
flex.
RB 20, like 2 to 30 range, I think.
that's decent. That's where,
That's fine.
I could see that. That's where.
I mean, he
backup running
finished.
backs
So he
go.
finished this as RB 38, but obviously he missed time too. So that had something to do with it for sure. Moving on, Bears-Packers. The Bears pull it out, a 31-27 win over Green Bay. We get Ben Johnson basically trying to stoke the fires of the rivalry, just straight up being like, I don't like that team. Not really wanting to shake Matt LaFleur's hand. That's fun.
Matt LaFleur did it first. He did it first.
I'm here for it, man. Like, I'm here for rivalries, and like especially that rivalry, especially because that rivalry too. Like, that one is nasty. So that's kind of fun. But on the Green Bay side of things, Florio, is Jordan Love a QB1 in fantasy?
I really like Jordan Love. I think he is one of the better pure throwers of the football in the NFL. For fantasy, though, I think it's very borderline. Like, he'll be either in that low-end QB1, high-end QB2 tier. I haven't sat down and done my rankings yet. I don't usually try to do them until after we get a lot of these moves because they're going to change so much. The issue, and I've said it a lot this year with Jordan Love, on a per-throw basis, one of the best in the league, but they throw the ball at like the third fewest rate in the NFL, and I think they should be throwing it more because the numbers show, right? Like when they let him throw, he's uber efficient and your offense is better. But for some reason they haven't. So maybe if there's a play calling change or a coaching change, I'll give him a boost. But otherwise, I think he kind of stays in that low end QB1, high end QB2 tier.
What hurts him is he doesn't run, right? No. That's kind of the big thing. He didn't have 30 rushing yards in a game all year long. He has in his career 5 rushing touchdowns. 4 of them came in one season. That's it. Like you can't expect that part of him. And for him, in order to be a QB1 as a guy who doesn't run, you have to be incredibly efficient and throw a lot of touchdowns, right? Matthew Stafford throwing 46 touchdowns, right? Like, we know he's not going to run, but in fact, I'm looking at it right now. Matthew Stafford has, wait, is that real? He has 1 rushing yard this season?
It was negative for until the last 2 weeks.
Wait, did I see that?
It was negative.
But you throw 46 touchdowns versus 8 interceptions, you could be a QB1. I don't see Jordan Love having that kind of season in him, partially because, as you mentioned, that's just not how the Packers operate offensively. You
know who I think he'll be like? What Goff was with Ben Johnson. Like, that is how he can be a QB1. Like you like you said, you have to be highly efficient as a passer and stuff, but like that is the path to it. Finishing as like a mid QB1.
Yeah. LaQuan, the Packer wide receiver group, pretty much everybody's under contract except for Romeo Doubs. He is going to be a free agent. Do we need him out of Green Bay for his sake and for the sake of all the other Packers that we might want to draft?
I mean, for his sake, I think he could ball when given opportunity, but he's just part of that rotation of that wide receiver room. I think the Packers, they probably won't pay him as a wide receiver 2 or 1. Like, I feel like they're just going to attack the draft or get somebody else to fill his place. I feel like Romeo Doubs might end up in New England somewhere, as boring as that sounds, or somewhere in New Orleans.
Why are we sending everybody to New England?
Bills fans want him.
I don't know. Send him to the Bills. Like, I don't know. I'm feeling like, like this is just constantly going to be what the identity of this Packers offense is going to be in terms of what the wide receiver room is going to look like. Like, I don't see them dropping this big bag for him to stay when we just saw Matthew Golden kind of develop and shine in a playoff game where he's on Twitter right now, and he's searching his name 100% because he is responding. He's telling folks to keep that same energy, which I respected because I think he can ball when given opportunity, but there's just too many mouths to feed in that offense. But I think Romeo Doubs would probably be better off exiting left and kind of finding his own opportunity where he could be treated as, a wide receiver 1 in his light.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to be a wide receiver 1, but I think he can go somewhere where he's not maybe battling for targets so much. Mm-hmm. Like I think he's a wide receiver 2 at best wherever he goes. And I think I think his ceiling in fantasy is maybe low end wide receiver 2. But that begs the question, Florio. Matthew Golden comes out of nowhere and has a huge playoff game. Is he the new Gabe Davis?
Not even close. His huge playoff game was 4 for 84 and 1. Gabe Davis's huge playoff game was 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. The only dude in NFL, I think it's him and Jerry Rice are the only 2 to have done that in a playoff game. But even more than that, right? Like Gabe Davis gets a bad rap but Gabe Davis was a 4th round pick. Like, why are we putting that kind of expectation? Like, it was us that was wrong, right? With Matthew Golden, he was a 1st round pick. And I don't have the list offhand, but I've seen people post it before. The 1st round wide receivers who have done what Matthew Golden has done, which is 361 yards in 14 games and no touchdowns. It's bad. Like Kevin White, I believe, had a better rookie season. So this was a nice game. I didn't love Matthew Golden as a prospect. In fact, I thought Isaiah Bond was the better of the Texas receivers. We will see how that plays out. But I am very low on Matt. In fact, the only Packers receiver I'm really excited about long term is Christian Watson, because I do believe he is a wide receiver 1 at the NFL level. He just has to stay on the field and do so.
Well, if it makes Matthew Golden feel any better, he did have a better rookie year than Kevin White. So, actually,
that's a crazy pull.
Actually, I'm looking at a low-ass bar. And honestly, Kevin White in 6 seasons only slightly beat Matthew Golden's rookie year. I
ran into him in a bar in Arizona one day.
Kevin White?
Yeah.
That is so random.
You recognized him?
Yeah, so I didn't recognize him, but one of my friends is a big Bears fan, and it was like right after they drafted him, and he was like, "Yo, that's Kevin White," and he was just FaceTiming someone, and he walked over to me, and I was like, "Yo, good luck this year, man," and he just hugged me. He didn't say a word, and he just walked away.
That's wild. That's wild.
Side quest.
But for the record, so Matthew Golden, his rookie season, 29 catches for 361 yards, no touchdowns. Kevin White's career, 28 catches, 397 yards, and no touchdowns.
Ouch.
So,
Ouch.
Yeah, that was bad. Bills get by the Jaguars, 27-24, the final score in that one. LaQuan, is Trevor Lawrence a QB1 next year?
Yes.
You're so sad about it.
I'm not saying it's sad. It's just one of those things now. Like, I get bombarded with DMs and on my mentions about, oh, you better clean up the Trevor Lawrence. Okay, he is Trevor Lawrence, man. He has been balling, okay? Like, I just love the pieces around him right now.
You got to deal with it when you talk as loud as
I know, man. Like, you were loud
you
as
can't
hell,
play
so
the
now
victim
you
now.
Deal.
I'm not playing victim. I've cleaned that up since November, man. Like, you guys know, he's been retired off the middle meter. It's been broken. His face has been ripped off the board. He is no longer there.
You're going to have to deal with it, though, with as loud as you were for as long as it was.
Look, I was loud, but I was not wrong. He did end up playing better, and I took the L and accountability. We are moving on to 2026. He is a QB1. He remains in that top 7. No, listen, if he shows flashes like I think he did at times in this Bills game, he showed flashes of like, bro, lock in. What the heck are you doing? And then he will jump back into understanding Liam Cohen's system and having such great pieces around him. Parker Washington, as long as he's a piece, that's what's going to keep Trevor Lawrence into that QB1 realm. He's running more. He's getting more pieces around him, developing better. And Brenton Strange, like I said, Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers is there extended. All the pieces are there for him. I didn't mention Brian Thomas Jr. I think he should stay because I think he's part of that decoy, part of that offense that can have defenders still respect his game because he can show up when given opportunity or if he catches the ball. But I think Trevor Lawrence, to me, we could just lock it in that he's going to be top 7 at least until further notice.
All right. So then having said that, right, and LaQuan mentioning all the pass catchers there.
You're ranking him as a top 7 quarterback?
Yes. Top 7.
I don't think I'm there.
Moving forward.
Wow.
Why not? We can have that conversation later.
We can have that conversation. That's worth having a conversation about. But I did want to ask, though, because LaQuan mentions all the pass catchers, right? Jacoby Myers, Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, maybe BTJ. The guy that he didn't mention, because he was hurt most of the years, Travis Hunter, right? We came into this year with so many expectations for him. I saw something interesting from John Shipley on Blue Sky, who does a great job of covering the Jaguars as one of their beat writers. And he talked about how defensively they probably played a little bit over their heads this season. They were great with turnover luck early in the year when they were really shutting people down. That kind of went away as the season went on, and they struggled against elite quarterbacks. Does this mean Florio, that they're still going to try the Travis Hunter wide receiver experiment? Or do they just give up on that and say, hey, man, you're pretty much a full-time corner with maybe occasional packages on offense?
That's my fear. I have no idea which way they're going to go, but that's the fear because it also depends on Brian Thomas Jr.'s future there because it does seem pretty likely that he might be playing somewhere else next year. And if that's the case, then maybe we could see Travis Hunter in that role because remember, like as the year went on, BTJ just kind of became a field stretcher for them, was running a lot of go routes and stuff like that. So maybe we see him sprinkled in that way. But yeah, it's going to depend a lot on what that wide receiver room looks like, but I don't think we're going to get a full-time both sides of the ball Travis Hunter in year 2. I think if we get that, it's probably year 3 after they kind of let him ease back into this thing after hurting his knee. But yeah, as much as I'm going to be rooting for him and I love the talent and everything, I probably, unless he's like we've talked about it the other day, like unless everyone is feeling this way and is kind of fading him and he's going in the double-digit rounds, then I'll throw darts all day. But if you got to draft him with a meaningful pick, I probably won't be doing so.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to have to spend a high pick on him. I think he's going to be a guy who, is in the kind of later rounds, people kind of just testing the waters, seeing what they can get. I think that's kind of what you're going to get from Travis Hunter next year. But I'm curious, after all this hype, all this talk about him being a two-way guy, it might just be straight up need that forces him to play defense more than offense next year for Jacksonville. Speaking of next year, LaQuan, is Bashaw Tootin going to force a committee with Travis Etienne next year?
I don't know. We will have to wait and see. I mean, Travis Etienne's a free agent, but he balled out this year. And I think he can handle that backfield as a workhorse. I mean, we've seen Bashaw Tootin kind of show flashes here and there. There's really only 2 notable games this season, including the playoff game where he looked good. I mean, the stats won't sit there and blow you off the paper. But
I was more afraid of him than Etienne in that game.
He was explosive. He looked good, man. And I feel like you can kind of water that talent flower and kind of see where it goes. But I'm not going to be this summer banging the drum and have the fantasy streets get all excited about Tootin, especially if Travis Etienne is back and paid.
Yeah, I do think even if Etienne is back, I struggle to think it's just going to be the Etienne show. Because we saw this before, right? They were trying to make Tank Bigsby a thing before they traded him to Philadelphia.
I think Tootin is better though.
I think he is too, but I think the point is, I don't think the Jaguars have ever been sold on making Travis Etienne a workhorse. I just don't think. No.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah. Look. As a Bills fan, shout out to Liam Cohen, man, because they were averaging 8.4 yards per carry and 6.7 yards per pass attempt. And they threw the ball twice as much as they gave it to those 2 running backs.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, these figured something out with that offense, for sure.
I was very happy they were throwing.
I'm sure you are. We're halfway through wild card weekend. The Niners go into Philadelphia. They beat the Eagles 23-19. And a lot of Philadelphia's offensive problems led to their downfall in this one, including Jalen Hurts, who just could not get anything going in the passing game. Definitely didn't help that he had some drops. But I got to ask you, LaQuan, is Jalen Hurts still a top 5 fantasy quarterback?
This is going to be one of those questions that we're going to be trying to answer all the way up until August when these drafts happen. I think there's a lot of questions about A.J. Brown. Understand that if they move him, there's a lot of dead cap that they got to eat. There's a lot of money that's attached to him next season. But the way how this season ended, I don't think there's any possible way they go into next season with this drama. And I think when you remove a piece from that offense like a A.J. Brown, then we have to really start having the real conversation okay, is he going to be top 5 for fantasy in terms of having that rushing upside, having the tush push on the utility belt, having the pass catchers around him that can elevate him to have this top 5 conversation? I'm going to say no. And I'm going to stick the line at top 7 where we were talking about Trevor Lawrence, where I think outside the top 5, more likely than not, I feel like the top 5's a little bit shuffled, especially what we've seen this season. I'm not even including Matthew Stafford in this top 5 next season that I'm talking about, but there's some names like a Joe Burrow who was hurt, Jaden Daniels that was hurt. There's some names that we could put in that top 5 now. So with Jalen Hurts, how this season ended, I don't know if I can say that he's a top 5 block in 26.
Yeah, I mean, the tush push wasn't as effective this year as it had been in the past, to the point that they stopped using it a lot. I mean, one of their short yardage touchdowns against San Francisco was basically a jet sweep to Dallas Goedert. Like, they kind of lined up in that formation and they handed off to Goedert. We saw them do a shovel pass to Goedert during the season. So, I mean, I had always feared that if the tush push went away, it was going to take a big bite out of Hurts's production. He had 8 rushing touchdowns. It's not a bad number at all, but he finishes outside the top 5 quarterbacks. I think as a passer, I think he's kind of limited right now. So like, it's hard for me to make a strong case. So right now, as I'm just kind of sketching this out as you were talking, LaQuan, I got, and we can argue on the order, but Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow as my top 5. Maybe, I don't even know if you can make a case for a healthy Mahomes. I'm not sure. Like, coming off the ACL, like, I don't think that he's...
Jackson Dart is an interesting one.
I was about to say Dart. Dart was right on the tip of my tongue. Caleb's
still hanging around there.
Purdy, Dak.
Like, there's a lot of names out there, and
this is more like a top 10 list. Like, because there's a lot more names in the hat now that are running, guys that are mobile now and getting over that 400, rushing yards. Like, that's why I said, like, top 7, we can have the conversation for Hurts.
I mean, Justin Herbert was second among quarterbacks in rushing yards this year.
Insane. He was running for his life, though. I mean, we don't ever want to see that again. We don't ever want to see that.
That was not part of the plan. It's just something that happened, is what that was. Yeah. But Florio, if A.J. Brown is gone, and I know Eagles fans want him out. I don't know if you guys saw the video of the 10-year-old kid who was like, I'm so sick of this. I'm like, bro, you're 10. You're 10. Your team has won a Super Bowl in your lifetime and been to another.
Though? He said it's like they're cooking burgers at McDonald's. One half they're cooking, the other half is raw.
I'm like, that was kind of a good analogy.
For a 10-year-old to say that, I was like, this kid is going places.
That's also because he probably heard it from somebody in the stands, like behind him or something, too, right? But also, bro, you're 10. Your team has won one Super Bowl and been to another one in your lifetime. Like, calm down. You're fine.
You don't know what stress is.
You're
fine.
You
don't have your heart broken yet.
It's like all the kindergartners in like New England who are happy to finally see a playoff win. Like, settle down. You guys are fine. But all that being said, Florio, if A.J. Brown is gone, how far does Devonta Smith move up in rankings?
A whole lot. Like, he would be top 15, I would say, at wide receiver, with the chances of going even higher. Like, we all know Devonta Smith can play, and it's evident when he gets opportunity, or when, like, if A.J. Brown misses time, stuff like that. But the thing is, there's 3 options there, and one of them every week is going to disappoint. And the way that they use Devonta Smith when A.J. Brown is there is more as the downfield deep target, and there's just more volatility there because those are the hardest passes to complete in the NFL. So I think he would get a big boost. But the Eagles, to me, are one of the more interesting teams this offseason, because are they going to change their play caller? Because that is going to determine, like, think about the last 4 years of the Eagles. We have seen their offense be the best in the NFL or one of the most frustrating, and it seemingly happens year to year because their OC is always changing. So that, to me, will determine a lot. Are they going to be able to rebuild this O-line? Because we knew that was a little bit of a weakness coming in. So this offseason, I think, is going to determine a lot for the Eagles.
As of this recording, Kevin Patullo still has a job in Philadelphia. We'll see. We'll see if that continues to be the case a week from now, a month from now, whatever. But for now, he's there. This time, about a year ago, maybe a little bit later, I was on this show proclaiming that I would not touch Saquon Barkley in the first round. That after the workload he had the year before, all the yardage and everything, that it just seemed too risky. I take no pleasure in telling you that I was right. I maybe take a little pleasure in telling you I was right.
Yeah, of course.
He finishes, he was the top 15 running back. Again, a good season, 1,100 rushing yards, 9 total touchdowns. Not a bad season at all, but definitely not the kind of season that was worth making him the number 1 overall pick. Now that he's a year removed from that, LaQuan, can he be a first round value again?
I mean, yeah, I could see him going at the 111, 112 still. Like, this will be a year removed from that, overworked season. So I think there could be a bounce back. I mean, him going at the 111, 112, or even the early second round, I think that's reasonable. That's where we were having Derrick Henry go, and then look at the season he had. So it's like one of those things where, the running back position, as they get older, they take more bang, but this is a freak athlete we're talking about. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey this past year that I was wrong about. I do feel like that he's in that tier of the freak athletes that I think now that he's going to be removed from this over workload season, that there could be potential, first round value strapped to him this year.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm not drafting CMC next year.
I'm not drafting. Not in the first round, at least. No.
And he's going top 5. Like, he's 100%. He's at 4. After this week, he's going to be at 450 touches. And they might still have another game or two.
I'm not touching CMC in the first round at all next year. So if he's going top 5, I'm not going to have him. Patriots beating the Chargers 16-3 in a game that was dull as dishwater. But the big news that came out as we were recording earlier in this episode, Greg Roman has been relieved of his duties as the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Chargers. So my original question to this, Florio, was going to be, do you expect an overhaul in the LA offense? I think we can expect that now because no Greg Roman. So now what? I mean, it can't just be as simple as you got to get your offensive line healthy. That's a big part of it, but that can't be the only thing, right?
No, that it is the biggest thing, though, in my opinion, because it wasn't just like they were missing starters. Like, they were missing all pro level starters and replacing them with dudes who literally were ranked outside of the top 32, which means there are teams with backups who are better than the Chargers, 3 of the Chargers' 5 starting offensive linemen. And that clearly just ruined everything for them this year. But it's going to depend on who they hire, right? The one thing I can tell you for certain, though, is we're going to get more passing in LA. Even with Greg Roman kind of dialing it up, the Chargers have been a very run-heavy team. I think there's bounce back years for a lot of Chargers next year, specifically the one that you're going to ask about next. I think Omari and Hamp, the next 2 actually that you're going to ask about. Like, I think those guys are the biggest bounce backs, but there's a lot of talent in LA and in this offense. They just need that O-line to stay healthy, and they need someone who can, I think, be a little bit more creative with the passing game.
All right, so, Florio kind of hinted at it, and I'm going to ask you, LaQuan, because I know that the 2 of you are going to differ on this, I'm sure.
Maybe not.
How early, LaQuan, are you drafting Ladd McConkey next year?
So I feel like with Ladd, we can look at him as a top 15 wide receiver, maybe even top 12 now that Greg Roman is gone, because no wide receiver under Greg Roman in this entire time as a coordinator or coach or whatever the case may be, they have averaged more than 15 fantasy points per game, and only Sammy Watkins 2015 was able to do that, but no wide receiver finished inside the top 15. Now with Greg Roman gone, this could be one of the situations where I might feel good about taking Ladd in that late second or early third round. I might feel good with him as my wide receiver too now with some overhaul of this offensive new identity that they bring in. Like, as long as we still have that O-line intact, I think Ladd obviously is going to have a great year removed from this last season, being that there's going to be more opportunities opening up. I mean, is Keenan Allen riding off into sunset? Who knows? I mean, is Quentin Johnson going to be... Is Quentin Johnson going to keep this momentum and be more consistent and stay healthy as well? Like, I think the obvious arrows that are pointing up, and I immediately think about Ladd.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I do think Keenan Allen probably hangs them up at this point, because by the end of the season, he was just, he's kind of just out there. He wasn't really producing a lot. Trey Harris was starting to eat into more of his opportunities as the season went along. I think they want to kind of open some things up, give Harris more opportunity. I think, I would like to see more consistency out of Quentin Johnston. He had some really high highs, especially early in the season, kind of vanished, came back.
He looked unlocked. I don't know what happened.
We also haven't mentioned Oronde Gadsden and what he meant to the offense this year. So there are definitely targets to go around, but I just think the potential departure, and again, we don't know anything, but the potential departure of Keenan Allen means Ladd McConkey goes back to being the number 1 option in the passing game. I just think that's what it is.
And I just think if you give Herbert time and he's not constantly fighting the clock in his head and knowing people were saying he might pull an Andrew Luck. That line has been so bad. The issue, the good thing is, it's not like they need to rebuild it on the fly. We already know, Joe Alt is a dog. We know Slater is a dog. They just need them out there because they barely had him this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, they lost Slater in the preseason.
Yeah.
And they lost all very early in the regular season. So, no, you're right. They played most of the year just trying to patchwork that offensive line. But, whoever's there, Greg Roman won't be. We know that much. So, I was going to ask you about Omarion Hampton, but you sort of kind of hinted at it. You feel like he's going to be good next year. LaQuan, I know you were a big Hampton fan.
Yeah. I like Hampton next year. I think Kamani Vidal being a free agent, if he comes back, I would like the 1-2 punch to continue. I think, like Florio was saying, if he could stay healthy, that's the big thing. I mean, this is a workhorse running back and an offense that we presume want to still run the ball at a high efficient rate. So I think Hampton, he lives in that high end RB2, low end RB1. It's just a matter of whoever comes in.
Texans Steelers. Game that was kind of dull, and then the Steelers basically vomited on their shoes in the fourth quarter. So more specifically, Aaron Rodgers vomited on his shoes in the fourth quarter, and the Texans scored 23 points, ran off with a win. As you were talking just now, this news came across my timeline via Tom Pelissero. Mike Tomlin is stepping down as Steelers coach, sources tell the insiders.
Wow.
I love LaQuan hitting the absolute cinema like pose. It literally just came across my timeline as you were talking about Omarion Hampton. Mike Tomlin stepping down as the Steelers coach. Your immediate thoughts, fellas?
Changes are happening. Wow. What now? Wow.
Get ready to talk last place in Pittsburgh. I'm telling, look.
I mean, wow.
Long term, I think this could be better for them because they were stuck in football purgatory and were never going to get out because Mike Tomlin was going to keep them far too competitive for them to be able to just completely reset. But it's going to get bad before it gets good again, I think. I think they're going to bottom out this next year or two.
The Browns have a chance.
To your point, that's good for them. That is good for them because they have been living in football purgatory for years now, right? It's cool that you haven't had a losing season, but you're not getting a high draft pick, but you're also not really a threat to win a Super Bowl. You are doing, they've lost 7 straight first-round matchups in the playoffs and haven't been close in really any of them. I think I saw last night that they have not had a second half snap with the lead in any of their last 7 playoff games.
I'm just saying this, though. I agree, Marcus. It's good for the long term. Steelers fans, next season, you're going to miss this, right? You're going to miss getting excited for a playoff game. You're going to miss having that week 18 Sunday night game again, stuff like that. Because I think the next 2 or 3 years might just be worst team in football bad.
Could be. Very well could be. So then that begs the next question. I guess my answer was different.
What do you think DK's thinking right now?
I don't know.
Who cares?
But my answer to this question was different 10 minutes ago than it is right now. LaQuan, have we really seen the last of Aaron Rodgers? 10 minutes ago, I would have said, maybe not. Now I'm kind of I think it's a wrap. I think he's done. I don't think he wants to come back for another coach, and I don't think any team wants him.
That one fan after the game that was like, retire, Rodgers. I think we might get that. It might be a dub because who's coming in wanting to deal with this, first of all? It might be a Jet situation. New guy comes in and be like, you know what? We're moving in a different direction and then walk completely out of a room. That might just be another scenario if he's thinking about staying in Pittsburgh. But I think we might have seen the last of Rodgers. I mean, shout out to Mike Garafolo making this connection with the WWE. This is kind of like how John Cena tapped out to Gunther. It's over, it's one of the situations that you hope he walks away from the game because I don't want to see him trying to find another team this next season, end up with a mediocre season, and then your legacy has already been kind of wishy-washy these last couple of years.
Yeah.
There's one team. Only one, I think, that could maybe get Rodgers to come out of retirement. The Minnesota Vikings. Because
no.
Not
do
the
you
far
think,
route.
do you think he'd really want to do that, though, just because of the far? Or is this to stick it to Green Bay sort of thing?
No, this is more just that he has a favorable play caller there that he has some relationship with. There's clear-cut weapons there that he could succeed with. And there's a huge quarterback question and a huge backup quarterback question that I could see them coming in and either being the mentor to 9 or maybe, I don't know, but that's the only, I think more than likely last night was it.
Do you think he wants to be a mentor? I don't think he does.
No, I think he thinks he could beat out JJ McCarthy.
I mean, that's probably true. I mean, it's at least a real competition. Like, you know, like I'm not.
That's the only. I think he retires, but that's the only team that came to mind. That like,
bro, he needs to go start a family, bro. Just sit down. He's supposedly married. Go chill in the darkness. Like, just chill out, bro. Like, I don't want to see him continue on playing football anymore. Like, I'm kind of over it. Like, this was kind of like your last hurrah. You exited out left. I mean, Tomlin stepping down. Like, the writing's on the wall, bro. Just chalk it up. It's been good.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wrap for Aaron Rodgers. I think the last image we're going to see of him is him getting trucked by Kalen Bullock on a pick six.
And a pick six.
You know what? That was Brady's last play as a Patriot. So
it was, but he also he erased that he erased that taste of his mouth.
Yeah.
In a big way.
I think Rodgers thought he was going to go out like Brady, and he went out sad.
Yeah. Again, like not everybody gets that, man. Not everybody gets that.
Most people don't. Most go out sad.
Well, either go out sad or just like most times the league sort of retires you. At least Rodgers has the chance to kind of walk away on his own terms, you know?
I mean, he didn't win the division, make the playoffs. And like, I know it technically they didn't win a playoff game. Sunday Night Football Week 18 was a playoff game. Like, I know it in the history books is a regular season game, but that was a playoff game.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, and it turned out, well, at first I would say it was a loser leave the playground sort of thing, right? Because the Ravens lose and they fired John Harbaugh. And then a week later, Mike Tomlin is no more as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Crazy.
That's the other thing. In my lifetime, whoever gets hired will be only the 4th head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers in my entire lifetime. I was old enough to see Chuck Noll near the end of his career, then Bill Cowher, then Mike Tomlin, and now whoever it is that's going to come next.
People love to play this game with a certain quarterback, Josh Allen. I'm going to play it with 2 others. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, you have absolutely no excuse next year. Zero, none whatsoever. If you can't even make the playoffs or win a division, with this division, maybe the worst in football, get out of here. You're not elite.
Yeah.
That's how it works, right? That's how it works.
Not elite is crazy, bro. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm poking the bear here because people were saying that for weeks now about a certain someone.
So what's going to be the worst division next year? The AFC North or the NFC South?
The South, because Burrow and Lamar.
The South.
All right. That's probably fair. Okay. So yeah, a couple of bombshell coaching moves as we're doing the show today.
We got 2 while we're recording, guys. Nice.
Really?
Wow, man, absolutely incredible. I don't even know what to say. I think that's just how we end the show at this point.
At this point, mic drop. Jeez.
Yeah. So that'll do it, man. Be sure to tune in again on Thursday. Scott Porter should be in to talk some Bills and Broncos and kind of wrap up his fantasy season as well. It should be a whole lot of fun. So looking forward to hearing that one once you guys are able to lock that down. But in the meantime, that'll do it for this wild and woolly edition of the NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy the week, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.